guys, so I thought I'd make a video about something that will save you a ton of headaches if you're an EV owner and make life very simple. If you are an EV owner, if you're thinking of getting an EV, you really need to know about helpful apps. There's a ton of them out there. There's apps that'll track your kilowatts per mile. There's all kinds of apps that can handle all kinds of little doodads about EV ownership. But I thought I'd talk about just the must-haves, the ones that really you just have to make life easy as a EV owner. So I thought I'd take a few minutes to break down the ones that I use. I don't have many. I've just got a small handful, but man, they make life so much easier. Without these, I'd really be struggling. So let's get into it, and I'll let you know, in my opinion, the top must-have apps for EV owners.
Okay, so apologies. I'm breaking a cardinal sin of recording and going vertical, going portrait mode. But that's just how this is going to be. Right here in the middle, I've got a folder for EV apps. Far and away, the number one, the absolute most important one you got to have is PlugShare. This one is your go-to app for finding charging stations. So I'm going to open it up. This app's amazing. Here I am up in Dover, New Jersey. And right now I've got the filter set for finding fast chargers. All these orange pins are fast chargers. And really that's not all of them. There are some, if they're brand new or maybe under some obscure network, they may not show up on here. So there's more than what shows up on here, but this is the vast majority of them. So when I'm out and about, I'm not looking for slow chargers. I'm looking for fast chargers. So that's what I've got my filter set to. Now, having said that, you can click on the little filter icon down here and change your preferences. I've got it set for the Volkswagen ID4. You can choose other plugs. If I was driving a Tesla, I could select Teslas. They've even got the old Roadster chargers on here. They've got everything. If you're driving a Nissan Leaf, you can choose CHAdeMO right here. I think they're about the only ones that use CHAdeMO anymore. But yeah, this just lets you select what kinds of connectors you're looking for. Most EVs, the vast majority, if it's not a Leaf and it's not a Tesla, you're looking for these first two. The CCS SAE, that's what's called a DC fast charger. The J1772, that's your typical slow charger. You might find those in a grocery store parking lot or something. That's just for a little top off, add 10 miles while you're in grocery shopping. So this is very handy. You can select, like I said, whatever your vehicle requires. A few more things you can select. What networks you want to choose. I don't see why you wouldn't just select all of them, but if there's some issue with any particular network and you just don't want to use it, you can turn it off. Or if you're just want to find one particular one, yeah, this is really handy, but I just toggle them all on. Show public locations. This is interesting. Show home locations. I think there are some people who've put home chargers on here. It's very rare, but I think it's pretty cool. I've never used one. But yeah, some people just decided, they've got an outlet on the outside of their house. They want to throw it on here and part of the network. It'll show you those. Show in-use locations. I don't really worry about that. There's usually open stalls at the chargers, so I don't worry about whether it's in use or not. Down here, minimum kilowatts. I personally consider anything 50 or faster to be a fast charger. Some people will disagree, and I totally get that. But when I'm out looking for fast chargers, if it's 50 or above, to me, that's a fast charger. If I just want to find any chargers, we can switch that down to 0. This is going to give us all our slow chargers. That's set to 0 or higher is going to include pretty much everything. Minimum plug score, I keep that at 7 or higher. If it's rated less than a 7, there's issues. It's either broken or there's always gas cars parked there or there's something drastically wrong. I've found that anything under a 7, you can just forget about it. It's probably not going to work. So 7 or higher. on the plug score. And what that means is just people rating it. It essentially just comes down to, does it work or not? You're not rating it 1 through 10. It's just, were you able to use it? Okay. Were you able to not use it? Okay. And it just creates a rating out of that. There's a few other odds and ends down here, but those are the basic things. Plug score, kilowatts, what type of charger you're looking for. So I've got those filters set. Done. And back over here, it's showing me way more stations. All those green pins are slow chargers. The orange ones are fast chargers. And there might be some combinations in there. Like an orange pin might be representing some slow and fast chargers at the same location. But man, you zoom out, there's tons of them out there. People really don't understand. I know range anxiety is still a thing, but my goodness, once you know where these chargers are and you know what they look like and you know how to find them, there's a lot of them. There's still some charger deserts out there, where you don't have any for a long ways. But for the most part, if you're traveling down highways to any decent-sized towns, you're going to have chargers around you. So PlugShare, far and away, in my opinion, is the number one app that you have to have. Just get PlugShare. If you're not going to get anything else, get PlugShare. It makes life so much easier. So again, this is just for finding chargers. It's not going to start the charger for you. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just finding them. And you can click on one and navigate to it. Like, let's see, down here in Wilmington, Delaware, there's one at the Wawa. Wawa is great about having chargers. Oh, it even includes pictures in most of these. So you can check it out so you can see where it is. Like, oh, okay, that's behind the Walgreens or something like that. And you can see if it's a good place to walk dogs. I think I've stopped at this one before. It looks familiar. I'm pretty sure we've stopped at this one. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, the pictures are very handy. I definitely have browsed through the pictures just so I know what I'm showing up to. Yeah, so pictures are included. You can click on the address and then tap Apple Maps or Google Maps, and it'll navigate you to that charger. I've used PlugShare a million times. You guys should sponsor me. Hey, PlugShare folks. I love you guys. Throw me a sponsorship. I'll include you in every single video. Yeah, so that's PlugShare. So let's move along. Again, that's my number one. The next 5 are basically just the apps for each network that I use. Electrify America right here is far and away the most common. They have fast chargers that are located along highways and in other spots. If you're doing a long road trip, probably 90% chance you're charging at Electrify America. EVgo is a similar network. It's a little bit smaller. I don't think it's quite as built out, and they're a little bit more, not really along the highways, more located at malls and like at a Whole Foods or something like that. But they're really reliable fast chargers. Then ChargePoint, it's kind of a mix. They have some fast chargers. They're mostly slower level 2 chargers. Volta is interesting. They're free. Volta is free. You just plug in and go. They're located often at malls and grocery stores. We've got one down here at the grocery store that I like to shop at, and I'll plug in. That's it. I just plug in and it's free. Go in, do my shopping, unplug, and leave. They don't make their money by you paying for the electricity. They have big LCD screens that they run ads on. So a really interesting business model there. So advertisers will just pay for screen time on there, and that's how they make money. Blink is on here because they've got a lot of level 2 chargers. They've got some fast chargers, but man, I'm tempted just to delete them and just act as if they don't even exist. They're always broken. Hopefully that's starting to turn around, but man, for years, Blink they're always broken. I don't know what's going on there, but they really need to overhaul their infrastructure, get these things back up and running, because they do have a lot of them. I mean, numbers wise, they're great. They're all over the place, but I swear 9 times out of 10, I pull in to use a Blink and it's just looks like it hasn't been maintained in years. So yeah, like I said, Electrify America, EVgo, ChargePoint, Volta, and Blink. You're downloading these to use the actual charger. Some of them, and here's what I mean by that. Some of them you can just show up with a credit card, do the tap to pay, and just go from there. But I'm telling you, it's way, way easier to use the app. That seems a little counterintuitive. You would think, oh, isn't it easier just to swipe your card and go? But I have found, and I've done a lot of charging, for some reason, the apps are more reliable than the actual card swiping hardware. Especially at Electrify America, there have been plenty of times where I've rolled in and the card reader just isn't reading my card, and I don't know if it's the network's down or what. But then I pull out the app and swipe to go, and we're good to go. So Electrify America is pretty reliable. There we go. You see all the different EA stations, and like, let's say I was at Target right here in Fairfield, New Jersey. I'd tap on that. I'd look up to see what number charger I'm at. Looks like one of them's in use. Let's say I was at number 1. Down here where it says get directions, if I was actually at the charger plugged in, I'd just swipe to start. So I'd swipe to start charging. It would charge up. It'd bill me automatically because I've got my payment information in here. And it's super easy. Definitely, I highly recommend. You don't really have to. Actually, at some of these networks, I think you might have to have the app. I think ChargePoint, you may have to have the app. But with Electrify America and EVgo, you don't have to have the app, but it's so much easier. Just plug in, swipe to charge, and move along with your day. And it almost always works. I'm struggling to think of a time where the app didn't work. Yeah, so that's Electrify America, far and away my favorite. All right, so those are the charging apps, PlugShare being the main one that you need to find them, and then each network has its own app for getting started and handling payment. All right, for traveling, the absolute number one best app for traveling is this one in the bottom, A Better Route Planner. A Better Route Planner is incredible. So we live pretty far from friends and family. We're up here in New Jersey. Most of our friends and family are down in North Carolina. So that's a long haul. And it can be pretty intimidating. Like, how do you plan that? Like, you don't know where the chargers are. You got to individually pick out towns along the way and figure out where the chargers are. Like, that sounds really intimidating to the point where a lot of people would say, forget it, I'm just going to hop in my gas car and, save myself the headache. Well, A Better Route Planner plans it for you. You literally just put in your starting and ending point, and it plans the route according to your preferences. So actually, maybe we'll start with that. We'll start with the preferences. So right here in the middle, it shows Volkswagen ID4 Pro rear-wheel drive. So it knows what kind of car I have and therefore what kind of chargers it can use. Down below this, charging stops. This is really interesting. I like this. So some people might like to do only a few stops, but really long, roll in with hardly any electrons left and then juice back up to full. That could be a little stressful. Some people might like the other end of the spectrum over here, short but many, short stops, 10, 15 minutes, but there's more of them. In between's pretty good. I've found I like going a little bit to the right, in between quickest arrival and short but many, meaning we'll have 4 or 5 stops, but they're not going to be real long. It'll navigate us in there with 50 miles left or so of charge, something like that. That's my comfort zone. I don't mind making more stops. We've got a baby and 2 dogs. We need to make stops for them anyhow. So the far end of the spectrum might be a little ridiculous. Lots of stops, for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. I don't quite want to go that far, but I would err on the side of more quicker stops than few longer ones. So I've got that set. You can also plug in a few other features, like what kind of maps you're using. But anyways, this is just routing your trip and showing you where the chargers are. All right, so starting point, we'll plug in Dover, New Jersey. All right. Here I am. It's just leaving the dot there because I'm in Dover, New Jersey. And we'll just plug in just generic Charlotte, North Carolina. We won't do an actual address. So Charlotte, North Carolina. And then this blue button down here in the bottom right, that's like, go do it. Go plan my trip. So it's thinking, it's spinning and thinking, taking my preferences into account. And the route, it knows what chargers are open, what networks are going to be best, and it's a little slow, but it's got a lot to take into account. And here's my trip. So here we are. We're up here in Dover, New Jersey at the very beginning, and it's got those gray lines are alternate routes. You see that blue line? That's the one that it's got planned for me. and those red pins are all stops along the way. All right, so there's my beginning point up there in New Jersey, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stops on the way down to Charlotte, which is reasonable. You know, we're a long ways away. 6 stops, that's fine. That sounds good. That's about how many stops we'd make anyhow in a gas car if we had one. And it shows some stats down here. 646 miles. It's estimating a little, 12 hours 45 minutes, which sounds about right. And it shows you all the places you're going to stop. Electrify America in Allentown, Sheets, Electrify. They're almost all Electrify Americas. In fact, I think they are all Electrify America. But most of them are at either a mall or a gas station. So Brixmore Village West, that's probably a mall. Sheets, Walmart, Brews Mill Country Store. It's probably a convenience store of some sort. Sheets, and then we're there. So what I usually do, I don't actually navigate through this app. I kind of like to just take a screenshot of this and then one leg at a time just navigate to myself, through Apple Maps or something to each stop. But man, we've done this a couple times now, and it's so nice. Oh my gosh. Just, all right, what's our next stop? Okay, looks like it's at a Sheets. Go to that, charge up. All right, what's our next one? It's Walmart. Okay, cool. We can go inside and get some supplies for the dogs and the baby while we're there. It's really amazing. For navigating, this is far and away, excuse me, the number one app that you need. It makes life so much easier. It really takes the stress out of it. We didn't worry at all. We thought, we're going halfway down the East Coast in an electric car. Like, this is probably going to be difficult, right? Nope, it was a breeze. Again, we've done this twice, and we'll do it many more times in the future. We've got several more long road trips planned, and as long as you've got an EV with at least, I would say at least 200 miles of range or so, you could even have a little bit less than that. You can do long road trips, and a better route planner, man, that's the way to go. You have to have this. So there's the apps. I would say the absolute must-have, you got to have it, is PlugShare. And if you're doing any long road trips, you 100% have to have a better route planner. And then from there, you don't really have to have the apps for the networks, but they make things easier. Electrify America and EVgo, definitely. I love using the apps for those. That's it. Definitely download these apps.
Yeah, so those are the apps that you've got to have. Nothing super complicated. You don't really have to be an expert in anything to use any of these. They're very user-friendly, very intuitive, real easy to figure out. Just to reiterate, the one you got to have is PlugShare. Like, definitely get PlugShare. If you're doing long road trips, get a better route planner. And then whatever stations you use, different parts of the country, have different stations that are more prevalent. But if you find yourself, you've got an Electrify America in the neighborhood, or EVgo, just download the app, plug in your credit card information, and once you use it a couple times, you'll see it's super easy. All these are designed just to make life easier. I think some hesitancy to EV ownership is people just think everything's going to be complicated, but it really isn't. We hop in our gas cars and go to the gas station, and we know how to use it, and it just seems so easy. A lot of times people think it's not going to be that way with an EV, but honestly, it's even easier than that. I mean, really, I got this thing plugged into the side of my house. I rarely even go to any of these stations. It's only if I'm really just out and about all day, or I'm on a long road trip, that I actually need any of them. So it's super simple. It's like plugging in your phone at night. But again, if you have these apps, EV ownership is so simple. It's so easy. I can't even imagine going back to owning a gas car for a ton of different reasons. I mean, honestly, I could go on all day. The purpose of this video is just to let you know that there are apps out there that make owning an EV super simple. So thanks for giving it a watch. If you've got any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'm more than happy to elaborate on any of this. Or if you've got some piece of info that I wasn't aware of, if you've got any corrections for me, I welcome those. Yeah, you guys have been really helpful in the comments, so Keep it coming, and I'll see you guys on the next electric adventure.